The Texas sky had a way of stretching endlessly, like it was daring you to dream beyond the fences. Isaac and I grew up chasing fireflies across those fields, our laughter mixing with the hum of crickets. We were neighbors, two barefoot kids who thought the world began and ended in that dusty little town. He'd toss pebbles at my window every evening just to say goodnight. Sometimes we'd sneak out and lie on the haystacks, whispering about the future, about leaving Texas, about making something of ourselves. Isaac said he'd be a great architect one day. I said I'd work in fashion. We didn't know how or where, but we promised we'd find each other again. That night, under a canopy of stars, he made me promise too. No matter where life takes us, Joe, it's you and me, always. And I believed him. Back then, love felt simple, like fireflies in a jar, glowing just for us. The morning Isaac left for college, the air smelled of rain and goodbye. His old truck was packed with boxes, and I stood by the fence, pretending I wasn't crying. He hugged me tight, whispered, "I'll call every night. You'll get tired of hearing my voice." I laughed through my tears, but deep down, I already missed him. I left a few months later for my own college, a few hours away, but it might as well have been another planet. Life happened fast, classes, deadlines, new friends. Calls turned into texts. Texts turned into silence. Still, every now and then, I'd stare at my phone and imagine his voice saying goodnight. Years passed, the fence grew old, but that promise, it never stopped echoing in my heart. College taught me independence, but it also taught me distance. I saw Isaac's life through photos on social media. The new friends, the campus parties, the smile that once belonged to me now shared with strangers. I tried to move on too. There were a few dates, but none of them ever felt like him. One night during finals week, I found an old photo of us, sunburned faces, holding a jar of fireflies. The caption on the back said, "For when the dark feels too long." I realized that even if we were miles apart, some part of me was still waiting. Not for a message, not for a visit, but for fate to do what it does best, surprise you when you've already given up. New York hit me like a storm, noisy, fast, alive. The kind of city that makes you forget who you were and pushes you to become someone new. I landed a job interview at a media company called Styleworks. It was a dream opportunity, everything I'd worked for since leaving that small town. As I sat in the waiting room, I caught sight of a familiar laugh. I froze. That voice, I could never mistake it. When he turned, the world tilted. Isaac. Older, sharper, still devastatingly familiar. His eyes widened when he saw me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he smiled, that same crooked smile from Texas. "Joe, I'll be damned. You made it to the city too." And just like that, the years melted away. We both got the job, same company, different departments. Fate, it seemed, had a wicked sense of humor. Our first week felt like a movie montage, morning coffees, shared subway rides, stolen glances across the office. The city lights became our stars, and I felt like that girl under the Texas sky again. One night, after a late meeting, we walked home in the drizzle. Isaac looked at me and said softly, "Feels like we picked up right where we left off, huh?" I smiled, trying to ignore the flutter in my chest. Maybe we had. Maybe the universe was finally keeping its promise. But as I'd soon learn, the universe never gives back without taking something first. Isaac and I fell into rhythm easily, morning coffees, lunch breaks, late-night calls. It was like no time had passed at all. He teased me about my obsession with black coffee. I'd mock his endless energy drinks. Sometimes, in quiet moments, he'd reach across the table and hold my hand. It felt like coming home. Work was demanding, but having him nearby made everything easier. He became my safe place in a city that never stopped moving. I remember one night, we stood by the office window, watching snow fall over the skyline. "I told you I'd find you again," he said, brushing a strand of hair from my face. For a year, everything was steady. Happy, even, but stability has a way of making you forget how fragile things really are. Because one random Tuesday morning, The elevator doors opened, and she walked in. That's when everything changed. Her name was Surrey Lancaster, tall, glowing, the kind of beauty that made you forget your own name for a second. She joined the marketing team as the new brand strategist, and within a week, everyone knew her. Surrey was laughter. She was light. She was the pulse of the office. You couldn't help but like her, even I did. But I noticed how Isaac's eyes followed her when she spoke in meetings, how he laughed harder at her jokes. I told myself I was imagining it. We'd been solid for a year. What could possibly go wrong? Then one afternoon, Surrey leaned over my desk and said, "You're dadding Isaac. Oh wow, I didn't even know. He never mentioned it." Something in her tone wasn't cruel, just curious. But those words echoed in my mind long after she walked away. Why didn't he mention it? The shift was quiet, like watching a candle burn lower without noticing the flames gone out. Isaac started missing our calls. Long meetings, he said. He stopped showing up for our evening walks. Too tired, he said. And when we did meet, his phone buzzed constantly. Once I caught a glimpse of the screen, Surrey. He noticed and turned it face down, too fast. I tried to talk to him about it, but he brushed it off. "Joe, she's just a coworker. Don't be dramatic." But it wasn't drama. It was instinct. That ache you feel when someone's love starts slipping through their fingers, and you're the one left trying to hold on. I started waking up earlier, dressing prettier, smiling harder, hoping he'd notice. But the more I tried to hold on, the more invisible I became. Weeks turned into months. The Isaac who once texted good morning now barely replied by night. He still said he loved me, but only when I said it first. Surrey and Isaac started working late on a joint project. I'd stop by his desk and find them laughing, shoulders touching, eyes lingering too long. The day I brought him lunch, he looked almost embarrassed to see me, like I was a secret. I ate alone that afternoon, in the stairwell, staring at my untouched sandwich. Later that night, I texted him, "Do you still want this?" No reply. That silence, that was my answer. Denial can feel like hope when you're desperate enough. I told myself it was just stress, that once the project ended, we'd find our way back. But one evening, after everyone left, I saw Isaac and Surrey standing close by the copy machine. Too close. His hand brushed her hair. She didn't pull away. I froze. He saw me and didn't even flinch. Just whispered something to her and she smiled. I walked out of that office and didn't stop until I reached the Brooklyn Bridge. I stood there for hours, watching lights ripple on the water, trying not to break. That night, he called, voice cold, detached. "Joe, maybe we need space. You're imagining things." But deep down, I already knew. It wasn't imagination. It was the truth, the kind that kills you slowly before it finally sets you free. The company's annual holiday party was supposed to be fun. A night of laughter, champagne, and too much small talk. But from the moment I saw Surrey walk in glittering in a silver dress that caught every eye, I knew it would be anything but. Isaac followed soon after, tie loosened, smile too bright. He didn't even notice me standing by the bar. Halfway through the night, the music changed. I turned, and there they were. Dancing. Surrey's hands looped around his neck, his fingers resting on her waist. The room spun, but no one else seemed to notice, or maybe they all pretended not to. I slipped outside into the cold December air, heels clicking on the pavement, tears freezing faster than I could wipe them. Behind me, I heard Isaac calling my name, but I kept walking. Some things once seen can't be unseen. The next few days were unbearable. Isaac avoided me, Surrey acted normal, and the office buzzed with whispers. I tried to confront him, but he only sighed. "Joe, please, don't make this harder. You're overthinking everything." But I saw it, felt it, the distance, the disinterest, the end. I started coming to work early just to avoid bumping into him. My smile became my armor, my silence my survival. At home, my apartment felt emptier than ever. The city lights mocked me, bright and distant. I missed Texas, the calm of it, the simplicity. But even if I wanted to leave, I couldn't. I had bills, dreams, pride. And somewhere deep inside, a tiny, stubborn voice whispered, "Not yet. You're not done here." It happened on a Sunday night. I was folding laundry when my phone rang. Isaac's name flashed on the screen. For a brief second, my heart dared to hope. "Joe," he began, his tone flat, "I think we should take a break." A break. The words every woman dreads because they never really mean pause. They mean goodbye. I wanted to scream, to ask if Surrey was worth throwing away everything we'd been. But instead, I whispered, "Okay." When the call ended, I sat in silence. No tears, no anger, just emptiness. I didn't know it then, but that goodbye would become the beginning of everything else. Because sometimes life burns down what you love just to clear space for what you truly deserve. A month after the breakup, our company buzzed with new energy. Whispers about a massive merger filled the halls. By Friday, it was official. Styleworks was merging with Sonia Beauty brand, one of the biggest names in cosmetics. Everyone was thrilled. Everyone but me. I was still trying to hold my heart together while pretending to care about corporate updates. At the announcement meeting, our HR head said, "The new CEO of the merged company will be Mr. Zane Boston." The name alone carried weight, powerful, commanding. But when he walked into the room, everything else blurred. Tall, confident, a presence that silenced the noise. His eyes met mine across the crowd, and something strange happened. Recognition. As if he'd seen me before. As if we'd lived something neither of us could remember. After the meeting, I stayed behind to gather my files. That's when I heard his voice. "You were at Boston University, right? The campus coffee shop, you worked there, didn't you?" My breath caught. "Yes, how did you?" Zane smiled faintly. "You used to serve me black coffee with too much sugar. You always wore that red scarf." My heart raced. I remembered him now, the quiet guy who always sat by the window, sketching in a notebook. Back then, I never knew his name. And now here he was, my CEO. He looked at me for a long moment, eyes deep and searching. "I knew it was you. Some faces you don't forget." In that instant, something shifted inside me. A new beginning, maybe. Or another storm waiting to happen. Zane had a way of looking at people that made them feel seen, really seen. But when he looked at me, it was different. It wasn't curiosity. It was recognition. He'd ask for my opinion during meetings, always listening like my words mattered. And when our eyes met, the air around us felt charged, alive. One afternoon, I caught him watching me across the boardroom. Not inappropriately, but intently. Almost like he was trying to remember something he'd forgot. "Do I make you uncomfortable?" he asked quietly later. "No," I replied, "just curious." "Good," he said with a faint smile, "because you make me curious too." I walked away feeling a strange warmth blooming in my chest, the kind that terrified and thrilled me all at once. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something. He asked me to meet him for coffee one Saturday morning. "Strictly work-related," he said. But as soon as I saw him sitting there, relaxed in a simple white shirt, I knew it wasn't about work. We talked about everything: college, ambitions, New York. Then he leaned forward and said, "You once gave me a free muffin at that campus cafe. You said I looked like I needed a good day." I laughed, remembering. "You did look miserable." Zane smiled softly. "I was. My mom had just passed. That day, you didn't just give me a muffin, Jocelyn. You gave me a reason to smile." The air stilled. My heart thudded. I hadn't realized a small kindness years ago could echo into something like this. Word travels fast in corporate hallways. Suddenly, everyone noticed the chemistry between the new CEO and me. Whispers followed us like shadows. Even Isaac noticed. He stopped by my desk one morning, his smile stiff. "You and the boss seem pretty close these days," he said. "It's professional," I replied evenly. "Sure," he murmured, eyes dark. "Just be careful. Guys like him, they always want something." For a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. But then I remembered the girl who once stood alone on the Brooklyn Bridge crying over him, and I let the silence hang. Later that night, I got an email from Zane. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Never dim your light for their comfort. And just like that, a man who barely knew me managed to understand what Isaac never could. Monday morning, Zane called me into his office. I expected another strategy meeting, but instead, he slid a folder toward me. I want you to lead the new product campaign, he said. You've got vision, Jocelyn, and I trust you. It was the biggest project of my career. My pulse quickened. Why me? Because you don't play it safe, he replied simply, and I like that. Later that day, Isaac cornered me by the elevator. So that's it, you're his favorite now. No, I said, meeting his gaze. I'm just finally being seen. For once, I wasn't the girl left behind. I was the woman stepping forward, even if the ground beneath me was about to shake again. By Friday, the office was buzzing. She's only getting ahead because of Zane. They must be seeing each other. The whispers cut deep, but I didn't show it. I walked taller, smiled wider, pretended I didn't hear. Surrey, however, made sure I did. Careful, Joe, she said sweetly by the water cooler. The higher you climb, the harder the fall. Her words dripped with envy, or maybe fear, because for the first time, she wasn't the one everyone adored. That evening, Zane found me in the empty hallway. Ignore the noise, he said softly. Let them talk, I see you. And when he said it, something inside me healed, and something else began to break. Because the closer we grew, the clearer it became. This connection wasn't just coincidence. It was destiny, the kind that could save or destroy. It started with a simple comment from Zane during a late-night work session. You remind me of someone I once knew, he said. Someone I lost before I could tell her what she meant to me. I smiled faintly. Old flame. No, he murmured. Something different, something that felt inevitable. He told me about his college years, how he had been too focused on ambition to notice the girl who changed his world with small acts of kindness. When he described her, the way she laughed, how she wore a red scarf, I realized he was talking about me. That night, I couldn't sleep. The idea that I had unknowingly left an imprint on his past felt surreal. Maybe fate doesn't make mistakes. Maybe it just waits until both hearts are ready. Isaac showed up at my apartment unannounced, drenched from the rain. Joe, please, I need to talk. He looked tired, older, regret written all over his face. I made a mistake, he said. Sorry, it wasn't real. I thought I wanted excitement, but I just wanted to feel something again. And I lost the only person who actually mattered. I wanted to believe him. Once those words would have undone me, but not anymore. Isaac, I said quietly, you didn't lose me, you let me go. He tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped back. It was over, the kind of over that doesn't come with anger, just peace. When he left, I realized forgiveness wasn't for him. It was for me. The next day, the office erupted with chaos. Someone had leaked internal documents, emails, financial notes, confidential memos. All fingers pointed to the marketing team. Zane called an emergency meeting. Surrey looked calm, too calm. When security revealed the source of the leak, the room went dead silent. Her name appeared on the screen. Surrey stood up, voice trembling with fury. You think I'd sabotage this company? But the evidence was undeniable, especially when they found messages between her and a rival firm. Before she was escorted out, her eyes met mine. You think you've won, Jocelyn. You have no idea what game you're playing. For the first time, her beauty couldn't hide the venom underneath. A week later, Zane called me into his office. Sonia Beauty wants a new head of brand direction, he said. Someone loyal, someone fearless. He slid a contract across the table, my name already typed on it. I stared at it, heart pounding. This position would make me one of the youngest executives in the company, but it also meant overseeing Isaac's department. You'd be his superior, Zane said gently. I need to know you're ready for that. Was I? Could I handle the power without letting old wounds bleed into my choices? I took a breath, then signed. Not for revenge, for rebirth. With my new title came whispers, stares, and a new kind of pressure. Isaac avoided eye contact during meetings. The same man who once broke my heart now had to answer to me. One evening, I found him alone in the break room. "Congrats, boss," he said bitterly. "Guess you finally got what you wanted." "No, Isaac," I replied softly. "I got what I earned." He looked like he wanted to argue, but instead, he just walked away. That night, I stood by my window and thought about every version of myself I'd ever been: the farm girl, the dreamer, the heartbroken lover. And I realized I was finally someone new. But life has a cruel sense of timing, because just when I thought the story was finally mine, it was. The night before the product launch, New York was drenched in thunder. I stayed late at the office, reviewing last-minute details. Zane appeared at my door, tie loosened, rainwater on his shoulders. "You should go home," he said softly. "So should you," I replied. He hesitated, then stepped closer. The storm outside echoed the one inside me. "You've changed, Jocelyn. You're stronger now." "Pain does that," I whispered. For a moment, the air between us felt electric. But before either of us could say more, the power went out, total darkness. I heard his voice, barely above the rain. "I need to tell you something, about your father." My heart stilled. My father. But before he could continue, the emergency lights flickered on, and Zane was gone. The next morning, I demanded answers. Zane looked troubled. "Years ago, when I was starting my company, I met a man named Daniel Holt, your father. He helped me secure my first deal. But after the merger, I discovered he'd been an early investor in Sonia Beauty." I frowned. "My father died before I finished college. Why does this matter now?" Zane hesitated. "Because the controlling shares he left behind, they're under your name, Jocelyn." I froze. "What?" "You're not just an employee," he said. "You're part owner." Everything I thought I knew about my life, my career, shifted. Was fate connecting us through love, or through a legacy neither of us saw coming? I flew back to Texas for the first time in years. The farm was smaller than I remembered, the air quieter. In my old bedroom, I found a box of my father's letters, one addressed to me, never opened. "If you're reading this, Joe, it means you've found your own path. I invested in something big, something I believed would one day find its way back to you. Remember, life doesn't take from you, it redirects you." I cried until the sun rose. Maybe he always knew I'd lose my way, and that through that loss, I'd find my purpose. And maybe, just maybe, Zane wasn't fate's coincidence. He was its continuation. When I returned to New York, a letter awaited me on my desk. "Joe, if I've learned anything from you, it's that strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's choosing peace over revenge, faith over fear. I don't want to blur the lines between us while we build something this big. But know this, if our paths crossed once by chance, I'll believe in the kind of fate that brings them together again." Zane. I read it twice, my heart caught between ache and wonder. Some love stories don't end in confession. They end in understanding. Months later, Sonia Style Works launched its biggest campaign yet, and it was my name on the lead. Isaac transferred to another branch. Surrey's scandal faded into corporate history. Zane and I, we kept things professional mostly. Sometimes, after late meetings, he'd linger by my desk, and we'd just look, no words, just something unspoken glowing between us. One evening, as the city lights flickered below, I whispered, "Do you ever miss the simpler days?" He smiled. "You mean before the storms?" "Before everything," I said softly. He looked at me, that same deep, knowing look from the first day. "You were never meant for simple, Joe. You were meant to shine." And as I stepped outside into the cool night air, I realized we were the kids chasing fireflies anymore. We were the light now,